President Lee, distinguished guests, fellows. Yes, it's a 5-minute speak about the Charitable Trust, Rotary Club of Wellington Charitable Trust. This is your trust, our trust. This is how we can make a difference in our community. First of all, I'm just going to try and give you a quick once-over lightly about what we do, who we are and all of that, and then have I got a deal for you. So the trustees, myself as chair, perhaps the trustees will stand if they're here as I mention their names. Tricia Warbridge, Peter Sherwin, Wayne Morgan, Kate Mitchell, Helen Elgar, and Martin Lenart's our newest trustee, yet to attend his first meeting. Anything to do with the trust that comes up today, you want to talk a bit further or follow up on some of the suggestions that I mentioned today, talk to any one of those trustees. What are we about? Well, our purpose, to ensure the trust funds are well managed. The incomes and donations that go to the trust, some of them have tags in terms of how they should be used and some of them don't. And it's up to us to make sure that we manage the funds well and ensure that the money that we send back into the community is donated along the lines of the guidelines of those that donated it and for the wishes of us as a Rotary Club. Currently the funds, the capital sits at just over $1 million and we've got that invested across a whole range of diversified investments. Last year we were able to distribute approximately $70,000 to Tony's board, had a little bit of accumulated funds. This year we're expecting to make available to Lee's board about $50,000. There are also some funds that just come in and out of the trust on an annual basis where they've been tagged for something in particular. It's not earnings from the capital that we have. So how does the process work? Well, we give a guideline to the club of how much money is likely to be available over the year and the tag or caveats that go with some of that money. But ultimately it is the Rotary Club of Wellington that decides how the money is invested in our community. So we ask the chairs of the various boards, community services, etc., to come up with projects and things that they think they should be using funds for the right purposes. They take that request to the board, and if the board supports that, that then lets the trust know that these are the tasks or projects we're wanting the funding for. As trustees, we just make sure it meets the caveats that we've got, and then we can make the funds available for those projects. So in terms of the split there, the capital that we've got has been accumulated over time from the Rotary Club itself, 42%, the Salmon Trust funds, 23%, the Bernie Knowles bequest, 29%, and then we've got some money that's been donated and earmarked from Eleanor and Huia Hill and from Ron Greenwood. How are those funds spent? Well, the money that's in there from the trust, from the club, basically it's up to the club to decide how it would like to distribute those funds. The only caveat with respect to the funds with club is anything we're doing internationally doesn't apply for the tax exempt status of the trust. So most of the trust does money is spent in New Zealand, not on the international projects. The Salmon Trust has a tag that it would like 50% spent on helping the elderly and 50% on medical research. Bernie Knowles bequest to improve services to the elderly with the focus on enduring benefits. The Hill funds, they would like at least 50% of that to be spent to help young New Zealanders with things like Rotary Exchange and overseas scholarships, where they'll go away and learn new skills and skills and bring those skills back to New Zealand for the benefit of New Zealanders. And Ron Greenwood's funds were for the benefit of Greater Wellington. So how were our funds spent last year? We spent money in medical research with the Maligan Institute. We spent money for the elderly with grants to Te Haupai and Delta and Ropata, a mixture of beds, chairs and bookshelving and things to help. Wellington Free Ambulance, as you know, with Project Heartbeat, and we had a small amount of money spent helping some New Zealand students on an exchange to Australia. How can we grow the funds? This is where you can help. Obviously, if we have successful fundraising and we raise more money in a year than is needed for the commitments in any particular year, those funds can be added to the trust for future benefits in other years. But also, we can grow the capital and grow our funds by leaving bequests. Members who feel that the Rotary's focus on helping our community locally and wider Wellington and New Zealand, and know that the stewardship of Rotary Club members will ensure the funds are well spent in the future, can think about leaving money in their wills, bequests, that the funds can go into the trust and forever be adding value into your community. You can also make donations to us while you're alive. The beauty of that being you can, depending on the size of how much you leave, you can tag it for special ways you'd like it spent, or let it go into the club funds in general. But it's a tax-deductible donation to a charitable trust. But the other one's the sunshine box. At the moment, we're all putting cash, or have traditionally put cash into the jar. It's going to a good cause, but because we can't identify who put the money into the cash jar, it's not a tax-deductible expense that we can sheet back to you and say, here's an amount of money that you can claim for a tax rebate at the end of the year. On your tables there today, there's a piece of paper. It's very easy for you to set up a weekly deduction that automatically is taken out of your account, credited to you, so that at the end of the tax year you get the tax summary and can claim the tax back on your donation. The beauty of that is, at the moment, we're basically collecting about $6 per head in donations here, about $480, $500 a week in the sunshine box. If you've got a higher tax rate, you can put in $8 to $10 a week, and it's still only costing you $6, but the charitable trust and the club will have $10 worth of value. It's the tax man that'll get a little bit less. So instead of the tax dollar having to help the community, the money's coming to us and we'll be helping the community. So think of that. It's not going to cost you more, but the ability of the trust and the club to do more would be advantageous. So think of filling in that piece of paper and putting it through. Rebecca will sort it out and we'll have more funds to play with. Remember, it's our trust helping our community. Thank you.